everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching and listening. If you're listening, you're on one of the major podcast platforms in the country. We are on all of them. If you're watching, you're probably on YouTube or Facebook, and we appreciate that. You may have found us via Twitter as well, at Doug Billings on Twitter and Parler, and at The Right Side with Doug Billings on Facebook. Look for us as well on CloutHub, at Doug Billings, and on MeWe, all sorts of places you can find us. We appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, going to just jump right in here today. We have another general who has come forth, and we knew that General Mattis was already a globalist, but he comes out the other day, and, oh, God bless him. God bless old General Mad Dog. But a globalist is what he is, and a globalist he always has been. He said, basically he wants the America First verbiage removed from our foreign policy, and he hopes that, in his words, quote-unquote, President Biden, not the president-elect yet, not even close. We'll have to make sure that all of that happens first, General. But he wants this thing removed, this language removed from our foreign policy. Now, this is a guy who, among many other people, should never have been allowed to be anywhere near Trump's administration or on his team. Because of all of the hundreds upon hundreds of things that President Trump has done brilliantly during his first term, the one thing that he's not been able to do is get the globalists and the never-Trumpers out of the picture. He really hasn't done a good job of that. I think there's far too many RINOs involved with him, far too many never-Trumpers and globalists. Now, I don't know the screening process, but I think his gut feeling is often displayed when he fires these people. He realizes that they shouldn't have been on the team, and so he fires them. Of course, the media, the mainstream media, just goes nuts and thinks that there's chaos. But what we've got, with a globalist is somebody who, in very basic terms, very, very basic terms, places the interests of the United States either below or equal to the interests of other nations. And we can't have that, ladies and gentlemen. We can't have it. A globalist is someone who wants the U.S. to be part of a global community. Now, there's many depths and many levels to that definition of globalism, but for the sake of simplicity and time, I'm going to leave it right there with that. So General Mad Dog said that he views Donald Trump as a danger to the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a danger to the Constitution. Rubbish, General, rubbish. He's a guardian and protector of the Constitution. Just the other day, Mattis says, well, I hope Joe Biden takes the America First nonsense out of our foreign policy. Really? Whose foreign policy would you have us follow, General? The Bush foreign policy that enabled the 9/11 attacks? The Obama foreign policy that enabled Iran to begin going down the path of nuclear weaponry? The birth of ISIS? So let me make a couple of points about the general's statement and make a few comments in general about the general. First of all, he's a globalist. Mad Dog is a globalist. He believes that America should treat our allies equally and be forthright and partner with them. Okay, let's just stop right there. Look at that. That's all fine and good. But for the love of God, our allies have for decades shafted us on almost every front, from not paying their fair share with regards to the protections that we provide them, the technologies that we provide them, the very food on their tables that we provide for them. They've not paid their fair share for the blanket of freedom for which we provide them. I'm all for playing fair with our allies. Of course I am, but I'm not in favor of being ripped off by friends, so to speak. So General Mattis can go suck on rocks with regards to his anti-America First rhetoric. Not until America is treated fairly by our allies will we stop pressing for our rights to receive due and proper recompense, acknowledgement, and due respect for the benefits of being allowed to be our ally. And if that seems harsh, Doug, that just sounds awfully harsh. Can't you be more gentle in your approach? Screw that. Somebody that would say something like that was given far too many participation trophies instead of actually facing and beating adversity in their lives. It's the globalist view that enabled the 9/11 terror attacks to strike our country. It's refusing to hold allies accountable to earning our protections and our benefits that enables terror groups like ISIS to form. Juxtapose that to the Trump Doctrine. The Trump Doctrine is what prevents terror. It terminates ISIS and its leaders. It eradicates them. It kills them, as it should have been. I don't give a rat's rear end if Germany, France, Italy, Canada, England, whatever, any other country, I don't give a rip about whether or not they think that we need to hold them accountable or if they're somehow jealous of American exceptionalism. Not my concern. If it wasn't for us, they'd all be Nazis right now. We saved their ass in World War II. We saved them in World War I. We bail them out continually. If you want a globalist view, you're going to go against asserting our rights on trade agreements. Oh, but Doug, we can't put tariffs in place. Remember that mantra way back when, a few years ago? No, that'll just piss everybody off, Doug. We can't do that. We'll have a global trade war on our hands. That never happened, and Trump did, in fact, impose tariffs on countries that weren't treating us fairly. They're ripping us off. Billions of dollars. So you wonder why everybody's rushing to the stage to congratulate Vice President-elect or President-elect Biden. It's because they want to suckle on the nip of entitlements that he will give them and the fact that he's going to take America first out of the picture. So you'd be much more satisfied if you have a globalist perspective to be just fine with all of the ripoff that we've been through. You'd be just fine treating Russia and China and all of everybody else the same with regards to how they don't pay their fair share, whether it be through taxes, tariffs on products, or the very protections that we provide the allies. It's Trump's America First doctrine that has made us, for example, energy independent. It's curbed Iran from the brink of nuclear arms, and Iran still may get nuclear arms. But if we abandon the American First rhetoric and principles and philosophies of the Trump doctrine, they'll get them much quicker and won't have any hesitation to consider using them. It was because of the Trump doctrine that we righted the capsized ship of American trade with virtually all other nations. It's curbed illegal immigration. I mean, we can go down a list. Globalism is a pathway for America's demise, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pathway to us becoming weak and losing our place on the world stage. We are the world leader. There's no escaping that. Not that we want to. We are not equal to other countries and other nations. We're better than them. Better than all of them. That's American exceptionalism. That's the divine providence of God himself that has enabled this country to provide and lift more people out of poverty and despair and give more people hope throughout the world than any other country on the planet and in the history of mankind. There's no need to apologize for that truth. So for all of the hundreds of things that President Trump has done well, and there are encyclopedias filled with what he's done, the one thing that he's done poorly again is allow these globalists, these never-Trumpers, to be part of his cabinet, his administration, the inner circle. Now, it's happened because there's many reasons, but I think key among them is that someone within that circle has allowed it to happen. There's not been an adequate screening process for the people coming on board with regards to Trump's team, and we've got to make sure that we end that. If Trump prevails, and I think that he will, in all of the legal challenges about election fraud in 2020, he's going to have to take a hard, good look at that. And Mr. President, give me a call. We got to screen these people. We got to make sure that we get the never Trumpers, the globalists, and the RINOs out. I mean, so many of them. John Bolton, all he wanted to do was go to war. You got Anthony Scaramucci, not even a smart person. I don't know how he made it. He only lasted a few days. Mark Esper, you got Gordon Sondland. He was the ambassador to the European Union, consistently wanting to apologize to the European Union for America's bad behavior. He's out. Richard Spencer, Secretary of the Navy, one of many military leaders who thinks that America first should not be the philosophy of our foreign affairs philosophy. Dan Coates, the Director of National Intelligence, another never-Trumper, RINO. Rod Rosenstein, remember that beauty? The assistant director of the FBI. Kirstjen Nielsen, who started out okay, but then got into disagreements about the whole illegal immigration episode. John Kelly, another military guy, out. He disagreed. H.R. McMaster, National Security Advisor, out. Gary Cohn, the Chief Economic Advisor, one of those guys who said, you can't put tariffs on countries, it won't work. He's out. Rex Tillerson came up in the oil business, Secretary of State, out. Never Trumper, disagreed with him. Andrew McCabe, Deputy FBI Director, out. You know him. James Comey, treasonous, treacherous Comey. All of these people, bad decisions of people that should have never been allowed to be anywhere near Trump and his inner circle and his cabinet. So lots of room for improvement with regards to screening and keeping out the RINOs and the never Trumpers and the globalists. It doesn't even take into account the issue with regards to the deep state and all of the people that are involved in that. So just remember, good conservatives everywhere, we need to root these people out. You can talk about Ben Sasse. He needs to go. Nebraska, vote him out. Mitt Romney, Utah, what the hell are you doing with him? Get him out of here. And there's a whole smattering of others that we should talk about. Under the banner of the right side, we conservatives need to unite against globalism, and we need to unite against the RINOs and the globalists that are infiltrating our party. I'm not convinced, by the way, all of this talk about a third party on the internet and social media, I'm not convinced that's the right way to go. I'd rather look first at reinventing and reinvigorating the Republican Party. Let's not give up on our history within the Republican Party. We are the party of Lincoln. We're the party of Reagan. We're the party of Trump. So I would call on all of you conservatives, shelve the idea of a third party. Shelve it. Let's re-energize our Republican Party and purposefully weed out the RINOs and the globalists. I call this determined patriotism. We've got to capture a sense of determined patriotism. I mean, after all, it begins, this determined patriotism, it begins with things that we already hold dear, that we already possess as Republicans, as people who are on the right side. It begins with believing in God and his divine providence. Key among all of the things that we believe in is that. God and his divine providence. It also begins with, I think, a real reflection and love for our country and our republic. I can't imagine any other party, because I don't think there is one, that has such a profound, sincere, and meaningful belief in God and a sincere, profound love of our country and our republic as it pertains to our allegiance to our founders. The other side, the dark side, will claim we're patriots too. They're not. They can't be. It's impossible for the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party to be American patriots. Do you want to know why? Because they're no longer part of an American political party. That's why. You don't believe me? You don't believe that? Sounds outrageous, does it? The new Democratic Socialist Communist Party is no longer an American party? Well, let's just look at what they did all summer long, ladies and gentlemen. Burning, rioting, looting, murder, rape, arson, anarchy, toppling statues, burning everything they can get their hands on, defunding the police. You think that's American? You think that's what the founding fathers espoused? You think that's what the hand of God and his divine providence looks like? It's evil. It's driven by the enemy, and we've got to fight it. They went through a baptism of fire that divorced themselves from the American Republic this year, and so be it. So in my view, the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party is no longer an American political party. How can they be? All they want to do is deconstruct America. But on the right side, we have these beliefs and these principles and these values that we already hold dear, so I don't think there's a need to look at creating a third party. I think that we believe on the right side that allegiance to the founders and their vision of limited government is what we're all about. We need to root out the RINOs that believe that government should have more control and power. That's BS. We also know that honest work builds up human dignity. To go to work, to make an honest wage, builds human dignity. The new Democratic Socialist Communist Party robs us of our human dignity by virtue of giving us free things and declaring that we don't have to work for anything. That's the bondage of slavery by virtue of communism and socialism. Big Daddy government will take care of us. That's their mantra. And by so doing, if you buy into that, you become slaves. All of those things sound alluring to you, don't they? Because you've been raised, if you think socialism and communism and free stuff sounds good, there's one or two things that might have happened to you as growing up. One, your parents didn't beat your ass as much as they should have when you screwed up. And number two, you were given far too many participation trophies for mediocre or no work at all. You weren't taught how to overachieve adversity, to overcome adversity. You weren't taught how to see adversity as a gift and as a blessing, and that when you work your way through it, you become instilled with a sense of gratitude, and that grateful people are the happiest people on earth, and that you can't become grateful and therefore cannot become happy if you're given stuff for doing nothing. It doesn't make any sense. It's the absolute height of intellectual immaturity to think that free stuff enables, builds up, or somehow promotes human dignity. It doesn't. It drives us down to the curb. When we focus on these things that we already have, we begin to be able to realize that we can have a profound effect on humanity, on our neighbor, on our republic, and our government. When we focus and realize that we have all of these things that come to us from God, all of our rights, and that government can't possibly provide nor take away any of them, we will begin to impact people's lives. And it's almost like what I told Rush Limbaugh when I was a caller on his show last week. We can have a real sense of fulfilling the meaning of life when we adopt these principles of the right side, the Republican Party. We can feel as if we've impacted lives at key moments and made differences for the better. And that's the meaning of life, second only to the belief and pursuit of God. When we do this, ladies and gentlemen, we become self-fulfilled. So, like I told Rush, focus on the meaning of life being defined as entering continually into the lives of others to make differences for the better. This is the kind of determined patriotism that I think we need right now within our party and in this country. Don't give up on the Republican Party. Give up on the RINOs. Give up on the globalists and those that would circumvent what we believe in by their phony belief in globalism and the never Trump attitude, and taking America first out of what we do with regards to our interactions in the world. It's we, the people, with our determined patriotism, who will take back what is ours. The power that the government has grabbed isn't theirs. It's ours. I mean, another Georgia, two candidates on the Democratic Socialist Communist side who would absolutely transform America into something that the founders wouldn't recognize. One of them, Raphael Warnock, who uses the pulpit to preach, but who's possessed by the demon of lies. He claims that America is systematically racist. He said, and I quote, "Racism is America's pre-existing condition." Well, excuse me, Raphael, BS. That statement it's beyond just merely unfortunate. I heard a couple of commentators on Newsmax the other day, so that's just an unfortunate statement. It's beyond unfortunate. To say that racism is America's pre-existing condition, that's not unfortunate. It's scandalous. It's infuriating. It's not true. It's tragic that this Warnock character, he actually preaches at the same church as did Martin Luther King Jr. Well, if Raphael Warnock and the other new Democratic Socialist Communist Party candidate down there by the name of John Ossoff, if they win in Georgia, America will begin to drastically and dramatically begin to change and be eliminated as we know it. That's why determined patriotism is crucial. I can tell you this. The new Democratic Socialist Communist Party is not patriotic. In order to be patriotic, you have to believe in what the founders left us and gave us. Things like the Electoral College that determines elections, not the view and the will of this fringe media. We have to understand that there has been no election of president yet. That happens next month in December when the Electoral College gathers. But like I said, the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party, again, if you don't believe me that they're not patriotic, it's impossible for them to be patriotic because they partner with the Black Lives Matter movement, a terror group. They partner with this idea that's not an idea, it's an organization called Antifa that wants nothing more than to destroy the American Republic as we know it. They are not American patriots, the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party. They're not. Toppling of statues, trying to eradicate our history, claiming that our pre-existing condition is racism. There is no systemic racism problem in America. There's a systemic wacko problem in America with regards to the media and the members and the leaders of the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party. That's the only epidemic that we're facing. But we have to unite, ladies and gentlemen. The conservative voices in this country, most of them anyway, are far too interested in their own ego, their own reputation, their own prestige, and their own pocketbooks. We need to unite around programs like this one, I think, and begin to infiltrate our party with determined patriotism. Don't shelve the Republican Party quite yet, please. Let's work to get rid of the Ben Sasses of the world and the Mitt Romneys of the world and the other RINOs and the folks that would try to impede us. Those folks that aren't speaking up in support of the president, we will remember them. And let's remember above all, ladies and gentlemen, that we continue to be blessed in this country. You have a pack of blessings on your back, and I don't want you to forget that. It's the most important inventory that you can take. That pack of blessings that exists within you and comes to you from God himself. And you don't hear members of the new Democratic Socialist Communist Party speaking in these terms. We would love to have you on board this show. We would love to have you subscribe to the show. If you can support this show financially, please reach out to us. We need to continue the message. You can find us on any podcast platform that's out there. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, CloutHub, Parler. We need your support. We need to start talking as a team and as a group to have each other's backs. And we need to rid the vacuum of leadership that our conservative voices have in this country and rise up again as we the people, members of the proud Republican Party who believe, just as the founders did, in God and his divine providence that guides and blesses this country. So on this Thanksgiving Eve, ladies and gentlemen, may I extend to you and your families, everyone who you love, I would like to wish you all a very happy, joyous Thanksgiving. Thankful for all of the things that you have in this life. May God continue to bless you. May he continue to bless, guide, and protect President Trump and his family. And may he continue with his divine providence, wisdom, and blessing, continue to bestow upon America, the United States, the ability, the right, and the blessing to be the leader of the free world. God bless you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Cheers.